C'est bon? Tu peux m'écrire dans le chat si c'est bon. Ok. Donc, first of all, just say you a big welcome, and we are really pleased to welcome you in this AJCM festival. This is the first day of 3 days of festival. We invite you to explore all the other activity we have. And this day, it's a day dedicated to the environment, tomorrow gender equality, and the last day we are going to speak about solidarity and Mediterranean citizenship. And so today I'm really pleased to be with Marine from Armenia and Manar from Egypt. So Marine from Armenia and from Youth is Power, and Manar from Egypt representing Banlastic. They are two very great collaborators, and we started to make a lot of activity together this year. I hope we are going to make a lot more activities together, and I'm going to leave them the lead of this session. And I'm pretty sure that we are going to exchange a lot of great things and to speak about. I mean, it's really interesting to have so different point of view and to hear about what is happening about the environment in Armenia and in Egypt. Okay, so thank you very much, and go. I don't know who is going to start, Narine or Manar.
Me. Thank you, Delphine. Guys, do you hear me well?
Yes.
Yes. Great. Hello, dear colleagues, partners, AJCM community, and AJCM family. I'm happy that all of you today are here with us. I'm Narina Teknajan. I'm Armenian living in Armenia, and I represent Youth is Power NGO. From the name of the NGO, you may guess that we are working with young people. We are increasing and developing their potential in specific areas such as citizenship, education, civic activism, intercultural dialogue, and non-formal education, women empowerment, gender equality, and also we are working in peace building and conflict transformation into multicultural youth. Youth Power NGO is a part of AJCM family since 2 years. And we are really happy for that because this is a platform, international platform of Mediterranean countries, and AJCM is pretty much working on the issues of environment, nature, and ecosystem. Each year, AJCM is organizing a lot of activities connected to environment, nature, and ecosystem. And this year, it's not an exception, but this year, AJCM is doing it in a bit different ways. As my colleague Delphine told, we are organizing a big cleaning action, and seizing this chance, I will encourage everyone who already joined us to join this big flagging action and clean the environment and community. So today's conference called Mad Green Wins, which is a combined conference of two countries, Armenia and Egypt, during which the eco activists from Armenia and Egypt will share their success stories, best experiences and practices on green activism, as well as they will talk and reflect how would the environment look like after COVID-19. So each country and each of us are facing difficulties connected with the current situation to COVID. But on the other hand, the COVID situation is giving us some messages, and we are learning some lessons from it. And the lesson that I learned from COVID and I want to reflect and share with you is that it's a right time to be closer to nature, to ecosystem and environment. It is a right time to care about the ecosystem and environment we are being in, and it is a right time for the nature. we had an online registration form, and I'm happy that to inform you that over 100 participants expressed their interest to be a part of this conference. And according to the rules of Zoom, more than 100 people can join the Zoom conference, but AJCM find a solution, and we are going to have a live in the Facebook page of AJCM. And I wanna greet to all people who joined us through the AJCM official Facebook page. Yesterday, all of you know that yesterday we were celebrating the International World Environment Day. And I want to thanks to all eco activists. But for eco activists, not only 5th of June, but also 5th of July, 5th of August, 5th of September, 5th of October, 5th of November, and 5th of December, whole year long is a day of World Environmental Day. And I want to thank to all of them for their service, for their amazing job and dedication, devotion to all human beings, to all of us. Thank you guys, you are doing a great job. And today, as I told, we are going to talk about the ecosystem and green activists in Armenia and in Egypt. And we are going to have three amazing guests. One of them is Ms.Marine Ohanjanian. She is from the initiative called Eco Aghb, which is based in Armenia, and they are doing a lot of activities. Marina are going to tell about it more in details. And the other two guests are from Egypt. Karim is a project manager of a Greenish and Very Nile initiative. Thank you, Karim, for being here with us. And Manar Ramadan, who is a co-founder of Banlastic Egypt initiative. And Manar is also a part of AJCM family and official representative of AJCM in Egypt. By the way, Manar is one of the co-organizers of today's meeting, today's conference, and my dearest colleague. Thank you, Manar. The speaker is from Egypt, Karim. Karim is a project manager of Greenish and Very Nile initiative. Thank you, Karim, for being with us today. And congrats to you also, because yesterday, as I told, we have International World Environment Day. Thank you for your service and for doing an amazing job each day.
Yeah, thank you so much for inviting me, and I'm honored to represent Greenish and Very Nile. I have just shared my screen. I don't know if you all can see it now. Okay, perfect. Okay, I would like to share how I started to work with Greenish, and then dive into what Greenish does and how we started the Very Nile initiative. I started a Facebook group called Zero Waste Arabs to search for people who want to live a zero waste lifestyle in Egypt and the Arab world. And that led me to know Midhat Ben Zuhair and Shadi, the co-founders of Greenish, on the group. And we had an idea of making a map to locate all the different initiatives or businesses who are green in Egypt. And I had the same idea and started to work on it. And that's how I started to apply that project in Greenish, or with Greenish. And through that project, I started to work on a lot of different projects in Greenish. So after joining, I learned that Greenish started by a Facebook post where Shadi and Midhat just shared a Facebook post and asked about It was Christmas time in 2017, and they had vacation, and they asked on Facebook if people are willing to invite them in different Egyptian governorates to talk about environment. So people started to respond to that post and invite them to different governorates in Egypt. And they made a tour, which was very exciting. And they talked to a lot of different communities and learned about a lot of cultures and how they deal with the environment and what are their different challenges they face regarding the environment. And that led to starting an official company called Greenish. So it all started with a Facebook post. And then they started to give trainings and create content about the environment. And that led us to work on a lot of different projects where we focus on different governorates. We don't focus on Cairo specifically because we know there are a lot of people working in the environment field, or even they are growing now. So we wanted to bring the information and the content we know and we learned to different governorates, not only in Cairo, because it's much harder for these people to get to learn about the environment, and each community has its own challenges. So we can't give one content for all. And by learning that, we started to work with these different organizations, and we had a lot of partnerships. We love to partner with a lot of people. And of course, the best organization we have found in Alexandria was Banlastic, was Manar and her team and her group. So we have worked in a lot of governorates. I want to share some numbers, like we have collected 3,150 kilos of waste in different places. And we have cleaned up 6 cities. We did cleanups in 6 different cities, and we had 660 volunteers with us until now during the 6 cities. And yeah, that was a brief about what we do at Greenish, and we mainly focus on educating and creating content regarding single-use plastic, because we found that this is one of the biggest challenges and problems we are facing in Egypt. And we also have the Nile, which contributes with a very big portion of plastic waste that ends up in the Mediterranean Sea. So that's our main focus. And one day, a young man came to Greenish and asked us to clean up the Nile. And he said, I want to clean up the Nile. And we thought, okay, how are you thinking about that idea? What do you want to do? He said, yeah, clean up the Nile. We said, okay, let's meet and see what we can do. And from here, we have met with Basita. Basita are our partners in Very Nile. And we started to think, how could we clean up the Nile? And from there, we decided on the 13th of December 2018 to start cleaning up the Nile. And from there, I remember like 300 people attended that event and came up to support. And a lot of people gathered around the idea, and a lot of organizations that work on the Nile. Here are some partners who work with us, our friends and partners. So after that successful event, we decided that we need to do more. And since then, we have an Nile cleanup like almost every month in a different location on the Nile. And the Nile starts from Aswan in the south to Alexandria in the north. So we have worked on also a lot of governorates on the Nile, specifically to clean up plastic waste from the Nile. And we have collected 36 tons of garbage. And we had 3,600 volunteers engaged in these cleanups. And we have 4 ongoing projects. We are also looking into building a boat that cleans up the Nile while moving from Aswan to Alexandria. And I would also like to share some pictures of what we do at Very Nile. Here, these are different events where we did cleanup. This is how some parts of the Nile look like. And yeah, we do our best to remove all that waste as much as possible. And sometimes we visit the same place many times until we are pretty sure that we have collected as much as possible of what we can collect. Yeah, we also have a big partner, which is the Ministry of Environment. They help us a lot with permits and legal stuff, which was also very supportive during our journey. And yeah, I would also like to show you some of our work in Greenish. We had a project where we are building a machine that could make tiles, these tiles out of plastic waste that we collect. That's one project. We also support artists to come and share their art on garbage bins and to send the message of saving the environment in an artistic way in different events. This is during some workshops that we do at our office. Yeah, and that was also an interesting project where we worked with different organizations, where one of them was Banlastic, and these people are from different cities, and we are trying to translate the climate change topic into Arabic, and at that workshop we were getting the training how to do workshops with people to find out what are their different problems and their different governorates, so we can collect all this data and start researching about it and looking how to translate these topics into Arabic, so different problems get translated in Arabic, so we can get a manual and share it with each governorate in regards to their environmental problems. This is also a very big project where we worked with 4,000 students in Aswan to teach them about different environmental topics, like what is waste, where does it come from, what is recycling, how could we recycle, what's planting. So we did a lot of activities with them, and most of our workshops and trainings are usually interactive. So we like to have fun.
Thank you.
Yes, that's it. And I'm happy to hear your questions at the question part.
Thank you. Thank you, Karim, for an interesting and inspirational presentation of the amazing work that you are carrying on in Egypt. Thank you so much. And this is an example how social media could be a strong weapon to start a good job. All Armenians know that social media is a good weapon to start also the revolutions. But I hope that in future social media will serve only for a good service. And the next one will be again our dear Marine Ohanjanian, the project coordinator of Eco Aghb No Waste Initiative, social enterprise. And we will be very happy if Marina will share the path, the activities, and the history of Eco Aghb, because as far as I know, Eco Aghb has a unique business model, and this business model would be very useful for the countries from Mediterranean areas, Mediterranean region. The floor is yours, Marina.
Thank you. Thank you, Karim, for your wonderful job that you do. First of all, it was nice learning about it. And now I will share my screen. So now, a little bit about us. Our organization is called Eco Aghb, or Eco Waste. It translates to Eco Waste, which is an environmental NGO which seeks to bring the culture of recycling into Armenia. And we started with the motto, paper is not trash, because people weren't informed enough not to throw their paper into the recycling bin, and they had to be taught how to treat their waste. Now, a little bit about the problem. We had an uninformed society, as I already mentioned, because most of the people would even burn their waste just as a fuel for heating their house. And a lot of people in Armenia cannot differentiate between recyclable and non-recyclable waste. The second issue was that there was no recycling system, as I also mentioned before. Recyclable waste is thrown into the same recycling bin, same waste bin as the non-recyclable waste. And no governmental support, although we know that that government has priorities maybe more important than this one. I mean, setting a single or unified recycling system in the country, because we have, for example, 25% of poverty rate. But we still need to think about the environment, and one of the solutions that we gave to this problem was not waiting for the government to take steps, but taking steps by ourselves and engaging the youth and the civil society in this movement. Another issue was the lack of processing plants, or few processing plants that existed in Armenia. And I want you to know that Armenia has over 20 recycling processing plants only around the capital city, which leaves the rural areas with no choice of recycling their waste because they cannot transport or hand their recyclable waste to the processing plants. And some other one of the issues is also the growing environmental issue. The villages, I've also mentioned about this. The villages near the forests and natural water sources are the most vulnerable spots because people throw their waste into these very important sources. So the next one, the overall situation in Armenia, a poor waste management system. I have already mentioned that in around 58 communities out of 501, there is no waste management at all. So it means that people have nowhere to take their waste to, and to throw, and they are only left with the choice of throwing their waste into the surrounding environment. And also. It should be mentioned that the system overall, the waste management system, is not cost efficient for the country, for the government, because the services cost higher than the collected money for these services. So this fact should also be regarded. Another situation, lack of knowledge on how to sort waste. Of course, if people don't know how to differentiate between their waste, they don't know that recycling exists, because it is a real issue that in a lot of rural areas, people don't even know that plastic bottle can be recycled into a bucket, into a hanger, or into some other product as well. No waste segregation system, and plastic rubber as a fuel in villages. I have already mentioned that we have almost 25% poverty rate, and people in these poor areas collect their plastic waste, collect the rubber, and burn at home to heat their house in the winter. So this is a huge issue because people don't know about the consequences that this has an impact on their health. So this is also because of the lack of proper education and awareness. And now you can see, you can witness what I now shared with you. This is one of the rivers, small rivers in Armenia, and this is and the second one on the right side, you can see one of the spots near one of the villages in Armenia where there is no waste management at all. So the cow says, "Shame on you people." And so the solution that we found was quite easy, but I guess it took time. We found reliable processing plants that would have that wouldn't have that much impact on the environment. More than 20 processing plants around the capital city, teaching people how to sort waste. We started our Facebook page, and without any formalities, without formal façon, we started to teach people how to sort their waste at home and send them to the processing plants. So the solution that we suggested was very simple. We acted as an intermediary between the people and the processing plants. So people had a platform on which they could count on by bringing their recyclable waste, and we organized their transportation to the processing plants. So I will tell how it all started. It all started with the motto, "Paper is not trash." There was an antique cafe in Armenia called Team Time, and the staff of this cafe gathered a lot of paper, but for the processing plants, for the recyclers to come and take this paper, they had to collect over 200 to 300 kilograms of paper. So they put an advertisement on Facebook and shared it with their friends, and urged them to bring their paper to the cafe, where they gathered 200 kilograms of paper and then transported to the processing plants. And this is how it started. The next advertisement was about collecting paper on the street. The NGO was founded, and the NGO members published about this event where people could bring their recyclable waste to a certain spot, to a certain address, and from where they collected, sorted for the second time the waste, and transported it to the processing plants. The issue is that we don't have a single processing plant which can process both paper and glass and plastic. So we had to take them to send them to different directions. And so this is why the secondary sorting process was needed. So these are the processing plants in Armenia. You can see paper, plastic, and glass. The glass is processed into these glass bottles. And so, as I mentioned, this is the system in a bit represented in imaginative way, so that you can understand. We will share, I guess we will share with Naina the presentation with you, and the impact and the snowball effect of the movement. So because most of our supporters were mainly young people, they started teaching their neighbors, their friends, their family members how to sort their waste at home and how to bring their waste to us. And so this had a snowball effect, and for now about 2,000 families sort their waste every month, and we have about 21,000 followers on social networks. And these are some of the examples of handmade recycling bins at kindergartens. The staff of the kindergartens didn't want to buy new materials and new bins or plastic bins, and they decided to reuse their waste to make the new recycling bins. And for example, this is also taken from the residents in Armenia. These are placed around the around the buildings in Armenia. And we also organized interactive charity events. We showed some schools and some organizations that their waste can become, for example, a speaker, or a school which needed a bench in front of their school could have it by collecting their waste and sending to the recycling plants. And
Marine.
Yeah.
Sorry, dear Marine, we are just going out of time.
Okay.
Yes, be as short as possible, because it's very important to keep time for question and answers. And yes. I kindly ask Karim to follow the line of questions, because I see that a lot of questions are addressed to him. And I will ask also you to follow the line, because there are a couple of questions addressed specifically to you, Marine. So I will ask you in 1-2 minutes to summarize what you have done and to speak, to concentrate on more important parts. Although all of your presentation is important, but we have one more speaker, Manar, and time for questions and answers. Sorry for that.
Yes. Okay. So now, so how many minutes do I have, Naine? I haven't counted, honestly speaking.
You have 1-2 minutes to.
Okay, to summarize. Okay, fine. So overall, I will share with you in how many regions we have been. We have been in 12 communities out of 10 regions in Armenia. And we have also a lot of projects that are aimed to raising the awareness in the villages. And you can see one of the examples here. And also some about our victories. Okay, I passed them. So about the green shop, which about this I should share for sure. We take the recycling, plastic bins, the plastic waste to the recycling plant, and they give us, they weigh this plastic and then give us a plastic product made out of secondary raw material, which we sell in the green shop for Eco, and so we can provide finances for our collections, waste collections, because transportation costs, and we had to find a solution how to make this possible, because we have no financial support from the government or from any other organization, and this is a self-financed organization. And here is what we sell in the shop. And the municipality, Yerevan municipality, gave us a chalet in winter market, which we used for for fundraising. And because of this, we can have waste pickups for another 2 months from started from the Christmas. And we also started raising funds about reuse and reduce, and I guess this is it. Just for you to know that we include all the aspects of waste hierarchy, and this is what we do.
Thank you.
Thank you very much.
Thank you, dear Marina. Thank you for an inspirational and informative, tough presentation that you have done about Eco Aghb. Thank you also to Vahe Salahian. I mentioned that he's with us and he is the coordinator of the volunteers. Thank you to all volunteers of Eco Aghb. And Karim, Marina, be attentive to the questions. The questions are going to be as much as possible here. Please follow, then reflect and answer to those questions. And Manar, the floor is yours. Go ahead. Manar, please unmute your microphone. Okay.
Yeah. Just preparing this slide. Hi, this is Manar. I'm the co-founder of Banlastic. And like how Nareen introduced us in the beginning, we are also part of AJCM family, and we are based in Alexandria in Egypt. And we aim to ban single-use plastic through different tools. So we carry workshops and trainings and consultation about plastic waste. And now, like, we're introducing more curriculums about climate change and sustainability. And we also organize many cleanups, and we develop alternative products to single-use plastic. And we're trying to connect with the policymakers to, like, multiply the effect of our efforts and everyone's who's working for the same cause for banning single-use plastic. So I hope you are not tired. I'm having the last presentation, and normally this is the hardest task, but let's see how ready you are. I'm not going to talk much, but I will leave more space for the questions. Anyway, let me just share the screen now. Yes, you can see the screen now, right?
Yes.
Yes. Okay, great.
Yes.
Okay, so basically, I'm not going to discuss a very new topic because I think every one of us had already experienced this, how the lockdown or the confinement all over the world has affected our own environment, whether we experience it live in our countries or even through different Facebook posts. So basically today we are going to talk about how it all started. How did, like, the misuse of the natural resources, it led to everything we had fallen in now, which is the coronavirus, and how the lockdown had impacted our resources positively in different parts, and like how can we take this positive effect on the environment forward even after, hopefully after COVID-19 ends. And then the last part, which is the most important for me, is just like to hear more from you, your inputs, your reflections, or if you have any questions. So as we all know that this virus started from for the wildlife markets in China, and I don't really like the word or the term of wet markets because, for example, in different countries you can find fresh sold chicken or meat like exposed in the market. But what's different in China is that we are putting different species and types of animals who are not used to be like living with the humans in the same context within the market itself and in very, very close contact to humans. So as we see in the slides that all the previous viruses, like even before the corona, we are as a result of mixing different wild animals that we are not supposed at all to be living like with humans, like bats, for example, and pigs. And this is how we got the virus, that we are taking the animals from their natural habitat, we are clearing the forests, we are getting these animals in very close contact to humans. So this is how we catch viruses that are not designed for us to take. And this is also how virus mutations happened. Okay. How did the corona uncovered the unjust distribution of resources? So if we can say that the water or washing our hands with clean source of water is the basic primary arm, how we protect ourselves from viruses and corona in particular. But as per the WHO, 41% of the people living on that planet, they don't have access to basic hand wash facilities. And by this we mean, this is how the WHO defined the basic hand wash facilities, is that you can wash your hands with clean source of water like in 30 minutes once you took the decision. This means that people, or 41% of the world population, they need to walk for meters and kilometers, maybe for 30 minutes to have the chance to protect themselves from such viruses. Okay, this part I think like this is the most trending news on the Facebook or different social media, how our planet has been positively affected by the corona or by us staying at home basically. So carbon emission, waste management, how our wildlife and marine life affected, and the energy sector. However, most of the effects were very clear on the carbon emissions in particular. Like we don't have to be experts to feel this radical change in the positive impact on the quality of the environment as a result of the lockdown. So this stop of the economical activities had happened only on 4 occasions in this century, in the century actually. It's in 1929. It's also again in the economic recession, and in the World War II, 1942 until 1946, 2008 in the economic crisis, and in this year. So basically, all of this, our economic activities only stopped because of economical crisis, and this is the first time in history that the planet economical activities is stopped because of pandemic. So basically 60% of the flights were less, 40% of the traffic, and this number is from the US, and 75 of nitrogen dioxide gases had decreased. And this number is from Spain in only 1 week. Like just 1 week of lockdown had caused this 75% less of emissions. Okay, so let's go through some examples. This picture was one of the most famous ones. This is the picture of Wuhan, the city in which the virus started. Just for the 4 weeks of the lockdown had caused 40% of the nitrogen dioxide to decrease, 25% of the carbon dioxide to decrease. You can clearly see how the difference of that satellite pictures, how much the pollution had went down. And these numbers are equivalent to having 192,000 car less on road. Like this is just to make the numbers more sensible. So imagine how much pollution had decreased only in one city for 4 weeks of lockdown. This picture is from Milan in Italy. Again, this picture, it's having 6 weeks in between both, the end of Jan and mid-March. The Himalayas were the first time seen from Punjab in India and the capital of Nepal, Kathmandu, which are 200 meters far. And this was not seen maybe for the last 30 years as per their local newspapers had been mentioning. This is again one of the pictures of India. The first picture was taken in November, and this one is by the end of March. So 60% less suspended particles. And as maybe some of you know, that New Delhi is one of the top most polluted capitals or cities in the world, with a lot of carbon dioxide emissions. This story is the closest to my heart because it's here from Egypt. So maybe some of the Egyptian attendees would relate to that by the beginning of the spring in I think 2-3 nights, we were able to clearly smell the scent of jasmine in the air, which is definitely was not part of our daily routine at all. So whether you live close to a garden or by the seaside, you still can smell this very strong smell. And the reason is because the pollutants, they react with the flower scent, and at that time it was the season of jasmine flowering. Before, when the pollution was there, it used to inhibit the spread of the scent to only 300 meters, when the capacity of spreading was between 3 to 5 kilometers spread. So this was one of the very, very strong effects we had sensed here in Egypt. Again, the beach closure, because we had less marine litter and less people coming and doing noise to the marine animals. A lot of this kind of the leather black turtle was finally found on the beaches, and this was a very, very rare phenomena to happen, because normally turtles used to get disturbed from the waist and from the noise of the visitors. And this was not only observed in one place in the world, but in Asia, in Thailand and in India, and also in like America and Latin America, and Brazil and Florida. Also, this one is from Alexandria, and a lot of people who normally have their walk by the seaside would obviously agree on the same, that the sea quality, the water quality had enhanced a lot. And for the first time in Alexandria, you can see the sea through the water, looking like a Red Sea, basically. Alexandria as the biggest city in Egypt, biggest coastal city in Egypt in particular, and there are a lot of industries, petrol and mining industries happening by the shores. So normally the water quality is really, really bad. And because of many of these activities, and also the cafes who are along the seaside, they had stopped. And probably I think this is something to be taken forward with the Ministry of Environment, that they throw their waste in the water. This is the reason why we're having clear water like this. So I think this lockdown is giving us the opportunity as environmental activists to question things more. Why is the sea polluted like that, and why when these restaurants and cafes and industry stopped, we are having this better quality of the sea. Yes. Running of time. Okay, I think I have just a couple of slides more.
Okay.
I'll try to cut it short. So this one also, if you can see here in the graph, this is the price of the petrol. Because there is no international price, the price of the petrol had fell to the max, to the minimum. And this is a positive and negative. The negative is because there is no exporting activities. So other countries, maybe in Europe and different places in the world, they realize that they have to be independent of importing the petrol from other countries, basically the US. So, okay, and we will get back to this on how this will be taken forward. A lot of countries in the world, one of them is the United Kingdom. They encourage the people to take care of their organic waste. So a lot of households, they started to compost. Yes, what will happen after the corona? We proved that we can work from home, so we can produce less emissions. We attend conferences without traveling for long, like hundreds and hundreds of kilometers. So this also means less emissions. We can consume our local products, so we can be local and reduce the carbon emissions spent in the transportation. So a lot of things we had proved that we can easily do to protect the environment and take it more positive. Some countries are thinking how they can take this positive impact. I think now in Venice and Italy, they are considering how they will keep Venice Canal more clean, or to stay as clean as it became now after the lockdown will stop. And also the European Union is now considering that they should invest even more and more in the renewable energies so that they don't depend on the petrol. And as a result, depend on the fluctuations in prices and lockdowns or not being able to import it. I think I'm mostly done by now, and I would be very happy to hear some questions. Thank
you. Maybe, Narine, just to make a resume of the last question we had, we can make the same question in one, concentrate in one. Most of the questions were about the local authorities' support about your action in Egypt. It was for you and for Karim. And there is another question related to this question. Is there a legal arrangement in Egypt that bans using single-use plastic? It's for both, for Karim and Manar.
Okay, Manar can go on the legal part, and I could answer the rest of the questions related to Greenish. Is that okay for you?
Yep. Tamam.
Oh.
Okay, so basically about banning the single-use plastic in Egypt, already 2 cities had been like having laws to ban single-use plastic. The first one is at the Red Sea, the Red Sea Governorate, and this happened, I think it was April 2019. The law was issued and practically implemented in June. And this is because the Red Sea is one of the very famous coral or diving destinations in Egypt. And the plastic and the marine material in general, it affects the quality of the corals, and thus the tourism there. And the second city is also because of the tourism activities in South Sinai, and this is where Sharm el-Sheikh is located. So they already issued a law, and it was again last March. So we see that the policies are increasing, maybe starting with the very touristic cities, but it looks very optimistic that it's spreading to other cities as well.
Thanks. Karim?
Yes, I would also like to share my screen and show you that we had with the environment the environmental party or government that they will ban single-use plastic in an area called Zamalek, and they have announced that. Here I wanted to show you a picture about it. Yes, here. Where? Okay. Then it's on Very Nile page. Yeah, and also that was it. That's the Minister of the Environment, and she announced that they will ban here. That's it. They will ban single-use plastic in an area in Cairo. So it isn't applied yet because of all what happened, but it's in consideration and they are working on it. Now I would like also to answer the rest of the questions. Did we work in Luxor before? Yes, we worked in Luxor 2 times. One time we did a cleanup, and the second time we went there to do a TOT training to educate the people there how to make a local event that addresses environment. And we worked with different organizations and individuals who are activists in the environmental part. And we partnered with the government to collect or to take the waste that we have collected after the cleanup to recycle it. That was a partnership with the government in Luxor. And there are private institutions that work and address the environment. I could also share the links of them for you to know more about them. There is another question that says, are you working as an organization with the government to maybe create a recycling system or to pass a law maybe? Or at least do you have a plan? Okay, there is an informal sector who works to recycle the waste in Egypt. It's called Hayzabalin, mainly in Cairo, and they recycle up to 70% of Cairo's waste. And that's the biggest part in Egypt. But there are also different recycling companies that work on different materials, which are, some of them are startups and others are more bigger businesses. So there is a system, but it's not so efficient most of the time. And a big part of this is that people need to be more educated how to throw their waste, where to throw their waste, to be able to build a system. So that's mainly what a lot of environmental organizations work on. And there are laws related to that topic, yes. Okay, another question is, the trees are heavily cut in Egypt. Why not taking any action against these acts? Okay, in the past few months, there have been a lot of activities related to building new roads and developing different areas where the government had cut a lot of trees. That's why this question came, I think. And yeah, we as Greenish and also I know that Banlastic does the same. We don't only focus on plastics, that's the main focus, but a lot of the time we look to the environment in a holistic way, and we address a lot of topics. So we talk about how to plant in some events, or how to upcycle a plastic bottle and to turn it into a pot to plant something. So we are addressing this topic, in different ways with different groups. But would love to give this part to the experts. So we partner with an organization called Shagarha, who are specialized to raise awareness on how to plant fruitful trees in public spaces. So these are our partners in this part, and they give a lot of talks and trainings, and also implement this part.
Manar is asking to speak.
The mic is closed.
Yes, I just wanted to add about on what Karim was saying regarding cutting the trees in the public, because it was a very hot and controversial, not controversial, like no one agreed that we should be cutting the trees, even if you want to like enhance the infrastructure. But unfortunately, when it gets political, it gets complicated. Like it's a political decision that maybe we need to make the roads better, or to enhance the infrastructure. So, however, we are still trying to give a louder voice to the environmental laws, because in Egypt we have a lot of very strong environmental laws, but maybe the application is a question for us as an environmental activists. So we are trying to work on it, but as you know, I think this is everywhere in the world. When it gets political, it's not very easy.
Narine, if you are okay, because we have 3 more minutes, I would like to make a general and last question to all of you. I mean, we have been speaking about all the action you're going through. We have been watching all the waste you're collecting. We have been speaking about cutting trees. We have been speaking about the lack of support, of political support. We have been watching, sharing, thanks to you, Manar, what is the actual context, what happened recently, and we have been starting to make some question about what is going to happen next. And so my question is, viewing all that things, as a conclusion, I would like to know if you have some specific message to send right now to people in politics. You can you can think 1 minute if you want, but I mean, we are speaking with people now. We are going to disseminate this video after, and I think it's a good occasion to send a message.
Maybe I can start. Let me see. I think my message is that we don't have a planet B, and talking about the environment at that particular time of our age on that planet is not a luxury anymore, as it had always been perceived. And as we see that like having low quality of environmental awareness and environmental laws enforcement, like it made us to fall in what the world is passing through now. Maybe if there were stronger or better dealing with the wildlife in China, it would have not affected our economic growth, which is aspired, I'm sure, by all of the government of the world like now. So without taking the environmental period into consideration, there will be no economic growth, because our health will be affected, our economic system will be affected. So it's not a luxury anymore to talk about the environment.
Thanks. Maybe Marine, do you want to say something from Armenia?
Yeah, I think my message would be to the politicians to start thinking about circular economy right now, because we have no time. We're wasting this planet, and as Manar said, we have no planet B. And thinking about the environment in a different way, in making changes into the system right now, because really we have no time, and we have to also teach people, and this is the most time consuming thing ever. Yeah, this is it.
Thank you.
Thank you too.
Yeah,
Anybody
for me,
else? Yes.
yes. Um, yeah, maybe they could also apply sharing economy to the circular economy. So, but here in Egypt, this is something very big to apply. We are far away from that. So, what I would request from politicians is that they focus more on informing the people how to apply things, how to be more environmental, and we have rules. We just need to apply them. We just need to put force to apply these rules. They are not the best, but it's a good start to start applying what we have. And then we can see people get more educated, then they will ask for better regulations and better rules so we can improve. Yeah, that's my request.
Thank you. Marine, do you want to close with the last but not least word?
Yeah. My message to all politicians, to all people, to me, to you, and to all of us is to think that it's the right time to think more about the nature. It's the message that I take from the COVID-19, and it's a message that I address to all of us. I want to thank everyone for being here with us. Thanks to the great speakers from Egypt, Karim and Manar. Thanks to Marine. Thanks to AJCM for organizing this nice conference. I was honored to be a moderator of this conference. And if we have a time, Delphine, let's give 1 minute to the participants to share their feelings in one word, as usually we are doing.
In one word, the sensation of the session. Okay.
Yeah.
So you have just say the word, the first word you think you feel in this moment to resume the moment we just shared. Okay. I will ask you one by one. And Marine, as you propose it, you're the first one.
Motivation and inspiration.
Okay. Marine?
Yeah. Inspiration. A lot of inspiration.
Okay. Manar? Your microphone.
Oh, yeah, there's a change happening.
Change happening. Okay, Karim?
Inspired.
Great. Vae? Salayan?
Stronger together.
Nice. Ola?
I think it will be optimistic
Optimistic. Okay. Fatima?
because there's so much negative energy.
Fatima? No? Jane? Jane Winter?
Yes, I am impressed. I
Impressed.
would say, yes.
Okay. Zekra? Mohammed? You have to switch up your microphone. Okay. Gehad? Shauk? If you can switch up, okay.
Anne Khachatrian, Armenia.
Yes, of course. I think the most important thing is thinking about the future generation and the humanity. And of
Okay.
course, motivation.
Motivation. Great.
Yeah.
It's a nice word.
Thank you.
Mustafa? Ait? Okay. Not all the people have the microphone. Radwa? Satur?
Okay.
Hopeful.
Hopeful. Okay. Ola? Ora, could you say something? So this is okay. Nearly everybody speak. If somebody, yes. So for me, it's okay. There are very nice words. Thank you, everybody. I have to cut because we are in a live and there are other activities just after us. It was really nice to have you. It was really nice to have you, and I hope to see you soon on the other activities and doing the same thing you're doing now, because it's very, very important what you're doing every day. So thank you, all of you. Bye-bye.
Thank you.
Please share the presentations with the participants, and you can ask the questions that we didn't manage to ask in private by emails or